We've been talking about transitions from despair to delight. And what was last week, if anyone can remember? From poverty to prosperity. This week, I want to talk about from pit to palace. And next week, from law to grace. Being a grace church, I want to talk about how do I transition from law to grace. That's next week. But this week, I want to talk about how do I transition from pit to palace, right? When we talk about prosperity, pit, all of that, more than taking the literal meaning of, a big ditch, right? It's a mindset. That's what we've been talking about. In Romans 12, we read like this: be transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? When you talk about transformation, it is talking about, going from a place where you are to a place where you are what you are intended to be. That's what transformation is all about, right? From a place where you are to a place where you are supposed to be. Transforming to that is what transformation is all about. So today, from pit to palace. And when we talk about pit to palace, the only name that we all will remember is Joseph. And true to what I announced, yes, we're going to talk about Joseph today, right? We're going to talk about Joseph's example. We're going to talk from Genesis chapter 38, and then we'll also connect it with the new covenant. Right. When you talk about Joseph, Joseph was a man of dreams. How many of you have dreams here? See, dreams are a place where you want to be. Dreams are a sign that is where you want to go to, right? When Joseph had a dream, he knew that is where he wanted to be, or God wanted him to be. So if you don't have a dream, then you don't have, probably you don't have an idea of where God wants you to be. But I know for sure that everyone sitting here has a dream. Does everyone have a dream? Yes. See, dreams are not just those things which you see when you sleep. I'll tell you how to recognize that you have a dream. Whenever you talk, whatever you talk, whenever you have a conversation, there is this thing that keeps coming again and again and again. If you talk about me, whoever is closer to me, they will always know this. People should experience the divine whenever they come next to me. That's my dream. And somehow in my sermon, I will connect to that, the divine in you. That is my dream. In everyone's life, I'm sure you are talking about a particular thing again and again and again. Can I tell you something? Those are the dreams that God has instilled in your heart. In another word, those are the destiny for which you've been called. Some people, for no reason, they'll be talking about, having a big business. And if you ask them, if you look at the reality of where they are now, you'll find them, having no signs of that dreams that they're talking about. Have you been there? Or are you that person here? You talk something big, but the reality is nothing like it. Hey, that's the dream that you have. And be proud of your dream. Be bold about those dreams. Be confident about those dreams. Because if you are talking about it again and again and again, if we cannot take your mind off it, if we cannot take it out of your heart, out of your conversation, can I tell you something? Those are the seeds of your destiny. Those are the clarity of the destiny that God has made for you, that God has purposed for you. I'll tell you my dream. This is my desire. When I walk, people should not just see God. I don't even need to tell them. I don't even have to pray for them. I don't even have to preach to them. As I'm walking, they should feel God. The vibration that the world is talking about, the vibe that the world is talking about. I don't have to go and preach to Ajju. As I'm walking, he should feel God. There's something about him. That's my dream. That's what Peter was. He walked. He didn't pray. His shadows healed people. Paul, people told him, you don't need to come and pray. You just give your kerchief. That's more than enough to heal. That's my dream. And that's who I am. That's my call. That's my destiny. Wherever I go, I want people to see there is a divine person here carrying the divine abilities, divine wisdom, divine knowledge. That's my dream. What is your dream? And I'll tell you something. You necessarily no need to have a dream that I have. You can have a dream that is so different, that is so peculiar, that is unlike anyone else's in this world. If a chai seller can dream to be a prime minister in this nation, you and I can. Why not? Do you think he would have... I used to think of all these leaders who, can you imagine Mr. Modi when he was doing, whether he sold chai or no, we don't know, okay? But do you think people who would have been with him would have ever thought that this same fellow is going to be my prime minister? And I was thinking, I'm sure even he wouldn't have believed. Your dreams should be that big, challenging you. Have biggest dreams that anyone could possibly have. Have dreams that nobody has ever dreamt of. Have those big desires. When I say dream, it can be translated like this also. Have big desires, big longing, big anticipations, big expectations. Don't have expectations that you can fulfill it with your strength. Have expectations and dreams that it will take God to do it. Amen. Big dreams, okay? So this Joseph was a man of dreams. And everybody heard about it. His fathers heard about it. His father and his mother heard about it. His brothers heard about it. And he dreamt such dream that it made others jealous. And it made others think, oh, he's talking too much. It made others think he's beyond himself. It made others angry. It attracted everyone's envy. How can this guy, how can this boy, he is not even the oldest in the family, he is the second youngest in the family. How can he dream? How can he have these desires? I'll tell you something. You don't need everyone to acknowledge that you have the right dream. You know that? You don't need everyone to say, oh, what a beautiful dream you're having. You don't need that. That's exactly what happened to Joseph. He had this dream that everyone is going to bow before him. And all these people said, look at this dreamer. Look at this dreamer. They said, in another word, when they are saying, look at this dreamer who is coming to see us, what they are actually saying, this can only be in dreams, according to them. They are saying this can only be in dreams. And because they were jealous, they are throwing him into the... Where did they throw him? Did they celebrate him? They were happy about him. They're saying, good job, Joseph. Come on, we'll stand with you. We will elevate you to the pinnacle and then we will bow before you. No, they said, stupid dream, foolish dream. This is not possible. They threw him into the pit. So the pit I'm talking about is not the literal pit. When people don't acknowledge, when people don't recognize, when people don't say yes to your dreams, how it makes you feel. Pit is not the literal place I want I'm not talking about the literal pit. When something happens, how it makes you feel. That's the pit I want to talk about today. Many a times, because of what happens, we get into this place, we feel so cornered, we feel so helpless, we feel so betrayed, we feel so backstabbed. We get into this hole that we are not able to do anything. We feel hopeless, we feel helpless, we feel so bound that we are not progressing. A pit is a place where it makes us feel so little about ourselves that we are not doing what we are supposed to be doing. That's exactly what pit is. I mean, if I throw you into a pit, you can do nothing but cry, right? Because you can't work from a pit. You can't cook in a pit. You can't eat in a pit. You can't do plantation in a pit. You can't do anything in a pit but just cry for help. Many a times because of what has happened to you, what we do is we get into that pit. We sit there, we cry, we are crying out to God. We are crying out to everything. We wallow in despair, in hopelessness. That's what happened to Joseph. They threw him into the pit because he had a dream. But somehow he came out of the pit. Sometimes we also do the same thing, right? We go into a pit, but somehow we motivate ourselves to come out again, and then we keep doing. We keep progressing. Again another pit. Joseph's life. Who did it now? Potiphar's wife. The brothers threw him. Then Potiphar's wife. He was the best man. It was the best thing that could have happened to Potiphar and his family. But this wife comes along and says, this guy tried to violate me. Did he even do that? No, she wanted him. But she turned the story around, and then again he finds himself in a pit. Does anyone feel that way? I just now came out, but again I'm in a pit. I just now stepped out, I'm again. They used to say in those days, Pastor, my Christian life is like this. It feels like I climbed 4 steps and suddenly I slipped down 8 steps. It feels like I climbed the mountain, but I know there's a valley waiting for me. Can I tell you something? You cannot be in an emotional high all the time. If any one of you is feeling low, feeling so rejected, dejected, given up on life, given up by God, it's okay to have those feelings, but don't let those feelings and emotions get the better of you. Okay? So again he finds himself in a pit. Why? Because of lies. Did he do that? No. Who did it? Potiphar's wife lied against him, and he finds himself in a pit. How we should be feeling? If somebody lies about you, how angry we get, right? I'll tell you something. When you hear gossips about you, first know where it comes from. If somebody comes and tells Aju, okay, I'll take Aju for example. If somebody comes and tells Aju, Pastor Prince said, I'm just telling you how to deal with lies and gossips, okay? If somebody tells Aju, probably Doobie is going and telling Aju, you know what, Pastor Prince told me that you are a very bad person, that you are good for nothing, you are chumma showing off. He chumma says he works at IIM. We don't know where he's working. That's what Pastor Prince told. You know how you should deal with it? You should know who told that first. Aju, do you think I would speak things about you that way? So how do you deal with it? Don't respond to the lies that people are telling about you. Know from where is it coming. If it is coming from me, if they claim that it came from me, you should know my heart. What is my heart? Pastor Prince's heart is that everyone should prosper, everyone should progress, everyone should be a divine being, everyone should go to the pinnacles of life. And you should tell them, I know it is a lie from your heart. I don't accept it. I reject it. But if you yield to that, then tomorrow, next week when you come to church, you won't be saying, God, you've been so good. You won't be singing that. God is good, but this man. See, what you will do is you will get into a pit where you are becoming hopeless, helpless, filled with sorrow. Your heart is full of despair. There is anguish. There is anger. See, pit is feelings that consumes you and stops you from being the best of you. That's the pit I'm talking about. Imagine Joseph's life at the time. God, I've been so good. I've been the best person. I've been a good person. But look at what happened to me. He could have given up. He didn't give up. Then again, there's another incident that happens in Joseph's life. Joseph's friends has dreams. And then he goes and interprets those dreams. And according to how his interpretations are, it happens to Joseph. It happens to those guys. And as the dreams are coming to fulfillment, he is whispering in their ears saying, Mr. So-and-so, it has come to pass that my interpretations are right. When you go, please remember me and speak about my plight to Pharaoh. Isn't that a valid thing? But you know what happened there? For 2 years, he was still in the same place. He was forgotten. Can you imagine somebody forgets you? The pain in your heart because you're forgotten. The pain in your heart because nobody remembers you. Sometimes we go through this thing. How much good things I did to this fellow. Look at this fellow. Not at all grateful. He's totally forgotten me. Sometimes even I feel that. You will do so much good things for someone. You help them, you pray with them, they'll call you and you call them back and all those things, okay? But there will be a time where they have overcome all of that. They will have a big celebration. You go and stand there. They will mention every other name except your name. And you'll be, because you're a human being, right? You'll be standing there thinking, okay, now they'll tell your name. Now they'll tell your name. Now they'll mention your name. I'm being practical, right? And nothing happens. And when you're eating the food that they're giving, you'll be eating like this. How ungrateful they are. A pit. Do you see the pit there? It's not a literal pit. It's a pit of, feelings that makes you stop from being the best of you. Your feelings controlling you. Your emotions controlling you. Your disappointments controlling you. The betrayals controlling you. The lies controlling you. Many a times, why we stay in the pit. Now, I'll go to the palace part, okay, don't worry. We'll have the good part also. Many a times, why we stay in that place? Because we give so much importance to our feelings. Can I tell you something? It's okay for you to feel bad. But when it is not okay, when you allow those feelings to determine how your life is going to be. That's how your life is going to be. If you say, oh, this is how I feel, this is how my life is going to be, oh, you're lying to yourself. You have gone into the pit. You're imprisoning yourself. You're limiting yourself because of what has happened. And Joseph could have done that. He was thrown into the pit. He was thrown into the prison. He was forgotten. But the good thing about Joseph is, he's a different level, Vera level. Okay. Nanga Vera Mari, bro. You heard that song by John Jabraj? He's that kind of a guy. Okay. He's not the regular guy. He's not the ordinary guy. He's an extraordinary guy. He's an extraordinary person like you and me. So we are the Joseph Ragong guy, We are Joseph Vagera. We are not the 11 brothers Vagera. We are the Joseph Vagera. But the thing with Joseph is, that's what he should have done, but he was living a different lifestyle. He was a different personality. You know how he lived? He lived in spite of his feelings. He didn't give weightage to his feelings. He said, this is how I feel, but my faith is in my God. I'll tell you how I came to that conclusion. He goes to Potiphar's house, a foreign land, as a slave boy. It's actually a pit. But the Bible says God was with, come on, tell me, God was with Joseph, and everything that happened there, Joseph was a doer of it. So now the author is writing God was with Joseph. You know why the author was able to write God was with Joseph? Because Joseph lived with the awareness that God is with me. I may walk through the valley of the shadow of despair. I may walk through the valley of the shadow of lies. I may walk through the valley of the shadow of rejection. I may walk through the valley of the shadow of betrayal. I may walk through the valley of the shadow of gossips. I may walk through the valley of the shadow of conversions, whatever, all the negative powers of this world. I may walk through all of that, but as he was walking through those times where he should have been restricted, where he should have been limited, how Joseph lived his life. This is how I feel, but this is how I will live. I will not give importance to how I feel. I will overcome all those feelings, and then I will say, it is in my God I trust. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Your rod and your staff, they. So what was he giving weightage to? To God. He was not fearing those feelings. He was not fearing those rejections. He was not fearing people's betrayal. He was giving importance to who is with me. Can I give you a good news? Regardless of what happens, there is only one person who is with you always. I know who that is. The one who created you. You may not feel him. You may not have those vibrations. You may not have those, goosebump moments. But can I tell you something? Whether you feel it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you experience it or not, as you are walking through life, there is one constant factor ever present in your life. That is your Creator, God, who created you, who formed you in your mother's womb, who chose you even before the foundations of the world, who told you, I will never leave you, nor I will forsake you. He is a constant factor in your life at all times. Now tell me, are you going to give importance to how you feel, or are you going to, prioritize to this fact that I'm aware of God who's with me at all times? If you're going to give importance to your feelings, I'll tell you what happened. What will happen? You will be in the pit. But if you shake away those feelings, you know what will happen to you? I'll tell you one story. Okay. One day a man had a donkey. And this donkey aged. And this guy said, this donkey is a liability. Let me kill this donkey. So he dug a big hole. He dug a big hole. And then he dig big pit. Okay, since we're talking about pit, let's leave the whole ditch and all. He dug a big pit. He threw the donkey into the pit. And initially the donkey was so angry. He said, how ungrateful. Thankless master he is. I carried so much clothes for him. I carried so much materials for him. I did so much help. I hauled so much weight for him. Look at how thankless this person is. It was angry. Suddenly, the donkey saw this man throwing all the mud back into the pit to bury it. And it got all the more angry. How would you feel if it happens to you? You trusted someone, you helped someone, and that someone is not repaying you according to what you did for them. Won't you feel like kicking them? You know, this donkey suddenly realized, oh, as he's throwing the mud, I can shake it and the mud falls off. So he is throwing the mud, the donkey is shaking and stepping onto the mud. The mud is coming, the donkey is shaking, it's stepping onto the mud. The mud is coming, the donkey is shaking, stepping onto the mud. Eventually, all the mud that came on him, the donkey shook it off and stepped onto it. And you know where the donkey was? Not in the pit, out of the pit. Today, that's what we are doing. Who are we giving importance to? Everything that people are talking about you. Everything that the people have done to you. Everything that the world is telling you. Everything that, whatever is happening around you, how it makes you feel. We give so much importance to it instead of shaking it away, saying, I know I have a God. I know He will rescue me. I know He will bring me out. I know I'm destined for greatness. I know I'm destined for this dream. I know I'm destined to do this. There is no one but me who is called to do this. As long as you shake all those lies, you will be in the pit. That's what Joseph was doing. God is with me, and I'll be the doer of everything. I don't know what you're going through. Probably you're blinded to this fact that God is with you. Probably you've forgotten the fact that God is with you. Probably you've given so much importance to your feelings, how everything makes you feel, that you have taken your eyes off God and you have stopped yourself from doing what you're supposed to be doing. I'll tell you how my worship has changed now, okay? Before, I'll be worshiping God like this. God, Sunday church was wonderful. I was able to prophesy. I was able to minister. I was able to do this. When people call me, I'm able to give solution. Oh, you're with me. I'll share my personal experience. This Jan, I thought I'm going to have a wonderful 2023. First service, I'm stepping in. Can I be honest with you? I couldn't feel God. And suddenly, Christian was gone. For 4 months, right? 4 months, Christian was gone. It was just Joel, Titus, and Cassia, and myself, and sometimes Surya. Only us. I said, God is not there. Christian is not there. Everything is falling apart. I don't know whether I am even called, whether there is a destiny over me. Why am I still here? What am I doing in Bangalore? Let me go back to my dad. I felt all those feelings. And when I come here on Sunday, somehow God will help me to minister. I'll go back Monday to Saturday. I won't even feel God. I wouldn't even sense God. I'm honest. This is my experience. I wouldn't even sense God. And one day God challenged me. Are you going to worship me because of me or because of what I do? Are you going to worship me because of me or because of what I can do for you? It was very difficult. God, I don't feel you. How can I worship you? I don't experience you. When I'm reading the Bible, I don't receive anything. Why should I worship you? How can I worship you? There were days I slept. When I mean slept, right? I'll go, wake up in the morning, do all the communion, everything, go to gym, come back, cook, eat, sleep. That's me. And God challenged me. Are you going to worship me because of what I do or because of who I am? And now my worship has changed. I'm not worshiping because I want God to do something, So I will feel good. I'm worshiping because I know He deserves it. So when I say, you've been so good, I'm not feeling good, but I know He's good. When I sing, right, Jireh, you're more than enough. I still have needs in my life that makes me feel like, am I even called? Am I even chosen? Am I even redeemed? Am I even saved? I have needs. I have incidents that happens in my life. I have my times of lack. I have my times of, no food, no money. I've been through all of that. As I'm going through, I'm not worshiping so God can do this for me. I'm worshiping Him because that is who He is. And even when I don't feel Him, can I tell you something? I have started to understand. I may not feel Him, but that is the reality about my life. God is with me. As you're walking out from this place, that's the reality I want you to walk out with. Do you feel Him? No. Do you sense Him? No. Does the circumstances that happens in your life is telling you that God is at work? No. It's totally contrary to this truth that God is with me, with you. But still, I'm going to keep believing God is with me. That is what Joseph is. While he was in the pit, he should have felt the other way. He should have felt the power of all the betrayal, lies, being forgotten, constrain him from being the best human being. But Joseph was not that. He was in the pit, but he didn't allow the pit to define him. Because he is a palace. He is destined for the palace. He is destined for the... Can I tell you something? Just because you're going through whatever you're going through doesn't mean that is your destiny. Your destiny is big. Your destiny is great. Your destiny is humongous, unimaginable, more than you can ever imagine, unsearchable, unfathomable, unfindable, uncomprehendable. No eye have seen, no ear has heard, no heart can understand what God has in store for you. That is you. So Joseph was a doer of it. Now that's how even Jesus dealt with everything. There's this leader of synagogue. Okay. He came to Jesus saying, my daughter's sick, come and pray for her so she can live. But suddenly he gets a news saying, don't trouble the master, your daughter has died. What do you think that man would have felt at that time? Angry? Why? If you'd have come earlier, he could have prayed and healed my daughter. And all those people said, you left your daughter and ran after this man. Look at what he has done. You should have felt that. But look at Jesus. You know how Jesus is dealing with that issue? He's looking at that man, and then he said, fear not, just believe. What is he doing? He's saying, mister, your feelings are overwhelming you, but don't let those feelings take you into that pit. Don't let those feelings constrain you. Just believe. And look at Abraham. In Romans chapter 4, we read about Abraham like this. Against all hope, Abraham believed, being in hope. There was no hope, okay? But where Abraham was living from? He was living in hope. So whether there was no hope or hopeless, or it didn't bother him, because he was already stationed in hope. You go home and read it. We always thought, against all hope, Abraham hoped. No. He didn't have to hope. He lived in hope. You go home and read Romans chapter 4. You will read that Abraham, against all hope, he, being in hope, believed. That's what it is. So, where you are now, you are not a pit candidate, you are a palace personnel. So, you should always live your life like, I'm a palace personnel. Okay, what does palace mean? Palace means being in control, dominion, right? So in Genesis, how did God create Adam and Eve? When God created Adam and Eve, what did God tell Adam and Eve? When He blessed them, go, multiply, fill the face of the earth, and be in dominion. You don't let others, anything dominate you. You dominate everything. Isn't that true? Palace means being in control. Palace means you don't let other things control you. You control everything. See, that is God's heart for you. Pit is not God's plan for you. Palace is God's plan for you. Pit is not the place where you're called to be. Palace is the place where you're called to be. That's why, as though Joseph was thrown into the pit, he lived with a palace mindset. That means, pit will not stop me from bringing the best of me. You get it? So now challenge is, are you a pit mindset person or palace mindset person? Pit or palace? You're a palace person. No matter what people say, you will not let them control you. They may come, they may look at you and say, oh, you're not looking nice today. The most annoying thing for me is that I would have woken up, I would have had my breakfast, everything be ready, go to gym, and suddenly they'll tell me, you look so tired today. What happened to you? As if they are empathizing with me. Nonsense. I've been struggling to lose this visceral fat, for so many days now. So many times, I would lift more than them. I will be working out harder than them. And they'll come and look at me. Oh, innum polaya. That means it hasn't gone down yet. What I want to give them. Ada pavingla. I've been lifting for ages. I lift more than you. Or you'll have to say only this. Then you cannot let them dominate you. You'll have to be in control. Palace person will never let anything control. They will be in control. Your husband will say 1,000 things. You will not lose your peace because he said so. Your wife may say so many things. You will not lose it. Is it the peace of God in my heart? The love of Christ in my heart? The joy of Christ in my heart? Do you get it? A palace person will not allow the feelings to dominate him. He will control how his feelings work inside of him. That's why Joseph was a doer of everything. Being in a pit, he shouldn't be doing it, right? But if you read in the Bible, that's what it is written about Joseph. Joseph is a doer of everything. But he shouldn't be doing it. You should feel sad. No, Joseph is not that. That is who you are. And now let's move. You got the difference between pit and palace? Okay. In Psalm 105, verse 20. Can somebody read that? Psalm 105, 20 and 21. You can turn your Bibles and you can read from Psalm 105, verse 20. So far it's good? Enjoying? Okay. Almost there. We'll finish. 105, verse 20. This is talking about Joseph, okay? The king sent and released him. Okay. The king sent and released Joseph. The ruler of the people set him free. He made him master of his household, ruler over all the possession. See, it's talking about Joseph there. The previous verse says, Joseph was shackled and all of that. Though he was in shackle, the king, what happened there? The king sent word, and the ruler of the people set him free. Who sent word? Who sent the word? Who sent the word? Why did he send the word? To release who? Joseph. Don't you think that's your reality now? The king sent the word and you've been set free. Because you're a palace person. You're not called to be in pit. You're a palace person. When he was in the prison, one night he's getting a call. Tomorrow morning, early morning he's getting a call. You need to see who you need to see? King. Same thing happened to you and me. The king sent a word. In the beginning was a word, and the word was with God, and the word became flesh. Who does it talk about? And for whom did Jesus come? For you and me. Do you see the connection? God's heart is not for you to be in pit, in palace. Just like how the king sent the word to bring Joseph out of every circumstances. Can I prophesy this over you? You may be in a situation where it is restricting you, limiting you, constraining you. But can I tell you, you are not a pit person. You are a palace person to signify that Jesus came. That's why we read like this. We read about redemption everywhere. How are we redeemed? Because of our actions? No, because of Jesus. In Ephesians 1 we read, He redeemed us. In Colossians we read, He redeemed us from darkness and brought us into the kingdom of His Son. You see that? You are a redeemed generation. You are not a pit generation. You are a redeemed generation. You are in redemption. The king sent word and released him. And that's what I'm speaking over you. Now, you cannot be bound by anything that has happened in your life or happening around you. Why? Because you are a redeemed generation. Amen. I'll show you another verse. Turn with me to Romans chapter 5, 17. For Romans chapter 5 verse 17. For if by the trespass of the one man death reigned through that one man, how much more will those who receive God's abundant provision of grace and of the gift of righteousness, what will they do? What will they do? What will you do? What are you called for? Have you received the provision of grace? So what will you be doing from now on? You are called to not to be reigned, but to reign. Not to be controlled by feelings, but control your feelings. Not to be controlled by what is happening around you, but you will control what happens around you. You get it? See, that is God's heart for you. Palace is God's plan for you. Hashtag for today. Palace, God's plan for my life. Not pit. So they may ask, but you live in a house that you live. No, I live as if I'm living in a palace. Not limited by my feelings. Not limited by my emotions. But this faith that drives me. I'm a child of God. Do you get it? I'll show you one more verse. Psalm 112. 6 and 7. Psalm 112, 6 and 7. Surely the righteous will never be shaken. They will be remembered forever. And this is you. They will have no fear of. They will have no fear of. They will have no fear of. Isn't that a beautiful lifestyle? The bad news will come, but you will not be afraid of the bad news. Why? Their hearts are steadfast. What will they do? They will be steadfast. Steadfast means, what is steadfast? Nothing can shake you. Unshakable. Indestructible. All in these movies and all we see, they will have 1,000 villains, 1,000 fighters fighting one hero. That is who we are. We will not be afraid of bad news. We will be steadfast. Why? My heart is trust. Isn't what it says? Why will it be steadfast? What does it say? Trusting in hey, that's a lifestyle I'm calling you to. That's a lifestyle you're called to. Not a prison life, not a pit life, but palace life. Steadfast at all times. No matter what happens. Standing wealth and get the path. Now tell me, do you want to live a pit life or a palace life? And I'm telling you, you're called for palace. See, but start practicing in your pit moments. Start practicing in your pit moments where you are not controlled by the greatness of your feelings, but you are controlled by the greatness of the name of the Lord. If you can practice in the pit, palace will become easy. You will not be overwhelmed, because living in palace is not easy. I'll tell you something. Imagine Joseph, from being a slave boy, from thrown into the prison, he is living in the palace. He had to adjust. So in palace, you cannot eat every way you want. You cannot drink coffee. You can't drink. You'll have to drink, with style, with dignity. You cannot slurp. You cannot chew with your mouth open, all over. There's a etiquette in the palace. In the same way, if you'll have to be a kingdom person, you'll have to be a child of God. There is an etiquette as a child of God. The etiquette is not in, how you dress, what you wear, what you don't wear. No. How you behave when the storm comes. God will evaluate you not by, how you behave in the church, or what you wear, what you don't wear, what you eat, what you don't eat. He is not going to be bothered by all of that. How God will evaluate you. Oh, even when the storm is raging, Vincent is standing like a rock, built a house built on the rock. That's my father. I'm proud of him. You look at angels, you look at David, you look at Moses, you look at Abraham. What? You look at Vincent. Look, get there. That's how God will be proud. So God is not proud, because of what you took away, what you gave away, what you gave up. Oh Lord, I sacrificed my family. Don't give all this drama to me. When you can stay. When the rest of the world is crying, you are laughing, saying, I will laugh at the disaster because of the name of my Lord. He'll be saying, that's my son. Palace mindset. That's why we read in the Bible like this. God sent His only Son to die in this world. Along with Him, He raised us up to sit in the... Where are we seated now? Isn't that palace? Do you see the connection there? Palace. So when you step out from this place with this thought, I'm a palace person, not a pit person. Go. Things may not be to your liking, but let that not define how you behave. A palace person.